The lumber room, Saki. A critical discussion. The children were to be driven as a special treat to the sands at Jagborough. Nicholas was not to be of the party. He was in disgrace. Only that morning he had refused to eat his wholesome bread and milk on seemingly frivolous ground that there was a frog in it. Now the story begins in the middle. The story begins in the middle. Now in the first paragraph, Saki mentions about a conflict, clash between Nicholas and his aunt. Now, Nicholas and the aunt are the two main characters of this short story. Now, what is the reason for this clash, this conflict? A frog in the breakfast bowl. Now, Nicholas complains that I don't want my breakfast today, bread and milk, because there is a frog in it. He rejects early morning. The aunt, she is very angry about this. She says, no frog. But Nicholas says, no, there's a frog. Now, finally, when the aunt opens the lid, she finds a frog. That is the past incident. Now, the story begins with the present incident. What is it? The children were to be driven as special treatment. Now, as a result of that frog incident, the aunt arranges a special picnic trip or treatment for other children. Now, in this house, who are the other children? Nicholas' brother, Bobby, the girl cousin. Now, these children, the children refers to those three children. Now, they are good for the moment. Nicholas is bad for the moment. Now, for the good children, this aunt arranges a picnic to Jagborough Sands. Here, sands means the beach, the beach, Jagborough Beach. Now, that is a special treatment to those good children, and Nicholas was not to be of the party. Now, Nicholas is not included in this picnic party. He has to stay home. That is the punishment. Very strange punishment. What is this punishment? Good children are rewarded. Bad children are not rewarded. That is the punishment. Reward. Good children are rewarded. Bad children are not rewarded. Now, good children are given a picnic. The bad child, Nicholas, is not given that picnic. He has to stay home. He was in disgrace. In disgrace. I told you, in disgrace means bad, naughty, in disgrace, disrespectful, right? ostracized. He was in disgrace. That is the punishment. Only that morning he had refused to eat his wholesome bread and milk. Wholesome bread and milk. Wholesome. Wholesome means well balanced. Well balanced. Now, Nicholas' breakfast is a balanced breakfast, full of nutrients. Nicholas mentions that in his breakfast bowl, bread and milk, there is a frog. Apparently a frivolous ground, useless reasoning. What is the useless or trivial, useless reasoning? There was a frog in it. Now, Nicholas makes a useless reasoning groundless. There are no proof there is a frog in it. Right. Now, that is the clash between them. Early morning. Now, this paragraph is a flashback. What is flashback? About past incident. Note it down. Flashback. Flashback incident. Now, Nicholas and aunt, they are clash over the frog that happened some time ago is mentioned here. Is mentioned here. Writer describes what happened in the past between the aunt and Nicholas. Now, what happened? Let's read it. Underline this part. Older and wiser and better people. Now, writer mentions, this is some comment on elders. Now, elders say they are matured, they are wiser, they are the better people. Children are not so. Children are not better, children are not wiser, children are not matured. Older means matured. Now, old and wise and better people refer to elders. Elders in Nicholas' house. Elders in Nicholas' house told him that there could not possibly be a frog. Now, this is the argument. What is the argument? Elders say, Nicholas, there cannot be a frog in bread and milk. Therefore, Nicholas was not to talk nonsense. Nicholas, please don't speak nonsense, useless things. Now, elders say there cannot be a frog in bread and milk. But Nicholas counter-argues. He says, he continued, nevertheless, to talk about what seemed to be the various nonsense. He talked about this various clear nonsense. He talked about this clear nonsense. What is this nonsense? Frog in bread and milk. Note it down. Here, nonsense means frog in bread and milk. They are questioned at the examination. Contextual meaning unknown. And Nicholas described with much detail, with much information, the coloration and markings. Coloration and markings. Color and special marks, features. Color and special features of that frog. The alleged frog means that frog. Now Nicholas describes to the elders, there is a frog. It is of this color. It has such features. The frog is green. He has yellow stripes. He has very big eyes, very big mouth. Likewise, Nicholas explains the biological features of the frog. Now you see, Nicholas enters into this argument with so many facts in his hand. Much information, much evidence he has. Therefore, his argument is very tight. Argument is very tight. Elders have no room to break it, no chance to break it, because Nicholas presents facts. The dramatic part of this incident, the good part, dramatic means the better part of this situation was that there was really a frog in Nicholas' basin of bread and milk. There was really a frog in Nicholas' basin of bread and milk. Now elders are defeated in this argument. They really find a frog. At first they said no frog, but finally they find a frog. Now elders, they lose their game with Nicholas. He had put it there himself. This is what Nicholas is very cunning. Nicholas is very tactful. He is a tactful, smart boy. He secretly puts a frog into his bread and milk. Before this argument begins. He is the one who puts the frog there. Now he wins. So he felt entitled to know something about it. Because Nicholas has right, entitled means has some right to, some ability to know about the frog. Underline this part. The sin of taking a frog. Now Nicholas is a sinner. Sinner means paukari. The sin of taking a frog from the garden and putting it into a bowl of wholesome bread and milk was enlarged at great length. Now Nicholas is named as a serious sinner. Why? He has killed a frog early morning. Now all elders criticize Nicholas as a sinner. Why? Now they have lost. They are defeated. Now they hide their defeat, shame. Shameful defeat by naming Nicholas a sinner. Nicholas a sinner. But the fact that stood out clearest in the whole affair. But there is a clear fact, clear thing in this whole affair, whole incident. It presented itself to the mind of Nicholas. It came to Nicholas' mind. That underline. What is that fact? What does Nicholas understand from the situation? What is his understanding? The older, wise and better people. Older, wise and better people means elders. Have been proved to be profoundly in error. Profoundly means seriously. Erratic. In matters about, in things about which they had expressed their utmost assurance. Assurance means their utmost belief Mm. They are they are sure of what they say. Mm. Now Nicholas rejects that elders are not always true, are not always correct in what they believe. Their beliefs are not always true. They may go wrong. Sometimes they are wrong, right? Therefore, whatever the elders say are not always true and correct. That is Nicholas' understanding. Nicholas understands that elders are not always true and correct in what they say. In what they say. Now, Nicholas is very happy because he wins. He is the winner. Elders are defeated. Therefore, he enjoys this. How? You said there couldn't possibly be a frog in my bread and milk, but there was a frog in my bread and milk. He repeated. Please underline. This is how Nicholas enjoys his victory. This is how Nicholas enjoys his victory, his win. He repeats it. Say it again and again. You said there cannot be a frog in bread and milk, but there was a frog and frog in my bread and milk. He laughs at the elders. He criticizes elders' imperfectness. Elders' incorrectness. He comments that you elders are not always true and correct in what you say. There is no assurance in what you say. Now, Aunt is very angry about this. Why? The small boy wins. The matured, better, wiser elders defeat. He repeated with the insistence of, with the emphasis or power of a skilled tactician. Tactician. What is the idea of tactician? A tactful man, a skillful person. Now, Nicholas appears like a skillful person before these elders, full of tact, tactfulness, who does not intend, who does not want to shift from, move away from this favorable ground, this good situation. Now, the situation is good for Nicholas, therefore, he enjoys it by repeating his victory. By repeating his victory. Right. Now, that is the comment on this initial part of the short story. Now we come to know the clash between Nicholas and his aunt and the reason for this clash. What is the reason? Nicholas hates his aunt. Aunt hates Nicholas. Right? Aunt represents elder generation, old generation. Nicholas represents young generation. The young generation is not ready to listen to old generation. And the old generation want the young generation to listen to them. That is what the conflict between Nicholas and his aunt means. But Saki is in favor of children. Saki is against elders. Therefore, here Nicholas appears as the winner, as the smart guy, clever, tactful, more tactful and cleverer than other elders. Now, the story goes on like that with conflicts between Aunt and Nicholas. In our next session, we'll discuss the other part of the uh, short story in our next discussion.